What is up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to episode 40. Wow, it's a lot of episodes of Hobby Hotline, the Hobby's first and only live call-in show. As always, my name's the DH, and I'm joined today by Brody the Kid. What's up, Brody?
What's up, everybody? What's up, Drew? How you doing?
Doing good, man. And then also from Sports Card Live, Jeremy Lee. What's up, bud? I think you still got you on mute.
There we go.
There we
Sorry
go. We
about
can
that.
hear you now. No problem.
As I was saying, I'm good, man. Good morning, and how are you?
Doing good.
Good.
Well, I hope everybody out there's having a good start to your weekend. See, we got quite a few people tuning in this morning. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in and putting the link in the chat right now. Any questions, comments, anything you may have, as always, that's what the show is about. Call in, even if it's not a question, even if you just want to vent. And anything whatsoever is fair game. But we're going to start today. What's up, Rich, Brad, everybody? How's it going? I really think there's only one place to start today. And that especially, of course, happened after yesterday. But for those that aren't aware by now, Topps put out their Montgomery Club membership yesterday. Or, they were supposed to have a renewal for existing members only. The link came up. I had an alarm set for it and everything. You hop on it 2 minutes later, and they're sold out. Turns out Topps had opened that link up to everybody. As soon as the bots figured that out, they dove right in, took advantage of it, and left a lot. And I'm talking, I know of almost at least 100 people myself that have been existing members that could not get one, myself included. What's up, Ziggy No? And we've actually got a caller before I ask y'all's opinions on this too. I know he's got a comment on this as well, I believe. But we'll bring in Uncle Rich Klein. What's up, bud?
I'm glad you brought this up because I have no dog in the fight on Montgomery Club. I'm not a member. I've never been a member. And after yesterday, I never will be a member unless they comp me. Let's be honest. Brody, you're a member if I remember seeing your tweet. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Drew, you were a member.
Yeah, since day one, literally since day one, 2 years ago, I've been a member.
Okay,
I don't even know what it is. So
okay, so basically, it's a club which allows you to buy special versions of Topps of a lot of the Topps sets, and they do special things. I don't know if there's a special logo or something, but I know that it's basically a way to give you a priority to buy Topps products.
Yeah, they give you a priority to buy the product, and then they give you certain products, like normally Sapphire, Ginter X, things like that. You'll get a chance to get a couple of boxes. I mean, they don't let you get cases, but you can get a couple of boxes, and then throughout the year, they put out different sets, which this is why I got it, because my son, who is, he's not opening National Treasures and Prism and $1,000 boxes. He's 5 years old. But he loves these cool little Montgomery Club collection cards that they have, all these weird sets that, Montgomery Club would put out. They had this cool program where they'd make cards out of designs that were basically thrown on the cutting room floor 20, 30 years ago and actually use them. And it made it really fun. But like you just said, Rich, after yesterday, I mean, I said it on one of the posts that I made. Unless I'm compensated in some way, shape, or form, I'm not signing up again. It's not that. I mean, it's not like it was some golden ticket into making 50 grand in a year. I mean, it was a couple boxes a year and some fun stuff. And it was easy when they had a very easy system. People that are members re-sign. Later on, we put it out, for everyone to do. And
How much does it cost to join this Montgomery Club?
It is $200 a year.
I think it was $189 the first year, maybe $249 or something like that.
Yes, right around there. And I know, for real, it's ridiculous. Royals 417, top screwing their supporters. Yeah, I mean, they did. It's more. I don't know if it's them or if it's the people that make their website. Like I said, I physically know. I went to college and lived next door to the people that built that website. But whoever opened this link up to everybody deserve. I mean, I'm hoping at least they're punished. But Topps, of course, throws this out on a Friday, which for those of you that don't deal with Topps too much, their customer service just happens to be closed on a Friday. So, of course, they don't have to deal with the mess. They don't have to do anything. It's out of sight, out of mind to them. And they've made no comment whatsoever on it yet. I don't know. This is a really bad look, man. You guys can't. I mean, if you're trying to convince me to do, I mean, I'm big into Topps now. I'm big into a lot of these other programs. If you're going to try and you've got to be able to get this right. Like if you just can't have a link that can simply let existing members in, I mean, that's scary to me.
Well, we don't know if they screwed up and meant to do the existing memberships on day 2. On day 1, and they've made it day 2 instead of vice versa, the right way to do it. But I agree. You have to understand, Topps is a business. Yeah. And as I once learned, you can run your business however you want to run your business. That's a period, end of sentence. We sell cards. Yeah. I sell cards at shows. I can sell cards however I want. Or if I'm too high, I won't sell any. Jeremy sells cards on eBay. Drew, you sell cards all over the place. And so we can, and I don't know if Brody sells or not. So if you do sell, that's great. My point is, though, that you can run your business however you want. But I had a couple big issues. Big issue number 1 was I worked at Beckett for many years. Beckett, when I started, was a publishing company. Now it's more of an online company. Mm-hmm. I would look at the people who have the memberships, as subscribers. Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to keep a subscriber than get a new one.
Yeah.
Why don't you take care of your people first that are subscribers? Yeah. Then if you want to add more people, do that. And then second, the whole thing of how it was done, let the bot, I suspect, and I have no proof, I suspect let the bots in.
Of course.
To do the memberships. And I've done interviews for college admissions for a quarter of a century now. To me, this is like another indicative thing, like the college admission scandal. I went to a good school. Thankfully, we were not involved in that.
Right.
But these are people with money taking advantage of a system to make more money, or in the college thing, to get their kids into a school even if they don't deserve to be in. That's not exactly fair to the average collector. And that's where I get frustrated, is that the people like Brody, like Drew, who are involved, and like many of our viewers right now, they got hosed because there was they got a 15 minutes. It was sold out, in 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I know, I literally on my phone, I knew it was coming today. We got the email last week saying that yesterday was going to be the day that you could have your exclusive first in line, sign back up, just like last year. Last year, the only problem is the website crashed. But it looks like this year they at least got the power to be able to sustain it, which is good to know. But I clicked that link. Literally, it had an alarm. As soon as it went off, I clicked it, went to shopping cart. 2 minutes in, gone. Nothing. I was working and I knew it would come up and I was just going to sign up right when I was working. And 2 minutes, my link wouldn't work. Tried it about 30 different times, wouldn't work.
Well,
Jeremy, you're a VP or something at a financial institution. If your institution, I don't know exactly your term, but I know you're fairly high up. If your place of employment had a PR situation like this, how the heck would your company react, or your business react?
Well,
if you can make a parallel, or how should we react?
Well, and the company I work with, we've had we've had things kind of go out that we haven't wanted to in the past, from a communication perspective. So we would just communicate to our customer base through the channels we have in place to communicate with them, and we'd be transparent. We're big believers in transparency. So we would tell them exactly what happened, and we would then tell them what we're going to do to fix it. That's what we would do, and we would act very quickly. I'm actually, I'm a finance guy, but I work in retail. I work for a chain of retail stores.
So you deal with this on a daily basis.
Yes. Well, yeah, we do. We have negative Google reviews we have to respond to. We have customer complaints we have to respond to. We have customer service, and we're not as big as Tops, I don't think, but we definitely have customers, and we have the capacity to address just about every issue that comes our way. So
now I do want to touch on Ziggy Knows comment real quick. He says they can verify membership against last year's and they could correct it. Yes, in theory, Ziggy, I think they may be able to. I'll be interested to see what they do, but I do not see Tops refunding the amount of Montgomery Club memberships that they sold out of yesterday. Because I'll guarantee you, if they put that link up, they probably sold out of pretty much everything that they had. The only way I could see them doing anything different is adding a ton more of them, which, I mean, I don't know if that's going to water. I mean, what does that ultimately do? Is it going to water down the product? Are you going to get less? Is it, there's so many things to think of when you think of it. It was always known as there's a finite membership. They're going to stop it here. And it looks like that number got hit in just a couple of minutes. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's my experiences with Tops, and you were talking about transparency, Jeremy. Those are two words, Tops and transparency, not exactly the best together. They're pretty good at keeping stuff hidden, which to each his own. That's, their choice, more power to them. But on something like this, I don't care if your customer service is closed. I don't care about anything. If you're asking people, and loyal people that have been there for years spending on this stuff, you should care. And the complete and utter silence when this, they had all afternoon to talk about this, to address it. Oh, Victor, it was 100% bots. And then once one person shared it in a group that the link worked for everybody, it was over. Like I went back and found the post on Facebook. One person put their email in. They said, "Hey, I got this. I tried it. It works for everybody." It was over. I mean, it was in a room of 15,000 people and it was gone.
Why don't they have customer service on Fridays? And why would they launch something on a Friday that is just ripe for issues?
Yes.
I mean, not having customer service on a business day, that blows my mind. I was surprised when I heard that, for the first time the other day. You said transparency and Tops don't really go together. I mean, in business in general, if you want to succeed, transparency is one of the most important things. Communication as well. I mean, if you're not attending to those two core principles of business or of good business, then I don't know how you're not destined to fail, except that you're protected by your monopoly or your exclusive license. So,
what's interesting is 2 weeks ago we had a spirited discussion about customer service.
Yes.
Well, guess what? This is customer service again.
Exactly.
It goes right back to that issue. And it also goes back to, look, a pre-planned day off is a pre-planned day off. I'm okay with that. But I think the point is you don't schedule something to be released that may cause a problem.
Yeah.
On the day your customer service, has a pre-planned day off. Wait till Monday,
And in the world today, Rich, where you can work remotely so easily, it's very simple to have a couple staff people out of their houses on call, able to address some issues. But to give the whole team the day off on a Friday when you're launching one of your, what I assume is an important program for them, for their loyal,
money it brings in, it's important. I mean,
they're loyal.
250. Let's just do simple math. Let's say 200. Drew said he knew 100 people. We know two in this room. Let's just make it 200 people, and that's a low estimate. In Montgomery Club at $250 a person. That's $50,000, and I guarantee you there's more than 200 people in there. With 2,000 people in there, it's $500,000 base, and I want to say basically free extra money. that's a nice chunk of change not to do it right.
Yes.
If you remember, Rich, if you remember the discussion we had with Dr. Beckett was on it about customer service, and he said that a lot of times companies will reduce customer service because they don't want to talk to certain customers about certain issues. So from that perspective, I can certainly understand why Topps would say, "Hey, customer service, take the day off. This day is going to be what show," and so that, but that doesn't get you anywhere in terms of business. Your long-term customers.
When I was at Beckett, we prided ourselves on customer service when I first got there, and we probably were a little overstaffed. But at that point, with 30,000 stores, the people who were doing customer service were basically more order takers than sellers. With 30,000 dealer accounts, not even counting there was a different subscriber department, and there was a different, other things. So, I mean, you almost were just taking orders. You were just trying to get through it. And as the hobby softened and evolved, customer service really became direct sales.
Yeah.
Where, hey, we're out there trying to sell you some more.
Mm-hmm.
I tell the story that we used to meet with Jim in the price guide department fairly regularly, and I sat in a lot of those meetings, when we finalized the price guides when I first got there. And I brought this up in one of the conversations that I said, we had one where Charles Barkley was on the cover in Phoenix, the year he got to Phoenix in 1992. And I had Phoenix dealers complain to me when we weren't aggressive enough telling them, hey, we got Charles Barkley on the cover. Why didn't you tell us so we could sell more copies and make more money? Everybody needs to revolve around money.
Yeah.
And that's not unimportant. But again, as you've pointed out, transparency, remoteness, there's a lot of things that can be fixed, but it's not exactly the shiniest day for Topps. And again, that's their choice. They ran the business. If they made that decision, somebody like Brody, who thankfully will survive this in advance. But I mean, if this is how I got my cards and I couldn't get my cards any other way, I'd be pissed. I may throw up my hands and say, why the heck do I want to collect cards anymore?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I love Topps. I mean, Topps started to get me going 2.5 years ago. But
of course,
it just stinks for people like me and Drew. I mean, I remember when I first got in Montgomery Club in 2018, I think it was the first year. It was one of my big Christmas presents. I was excited to get it, but I was still, wondering exactly what it was. But if I would have gotten that now, I would have been stoked because I seen what you get from it. I just use Chrome Sapphire for an example. In 2019, that was not part of Montgomery. It was just on the site. And I didn't get one because they ran out too quickly. This year, it's part of Montgomery, and you get the pre-sale, and I got some because
And you know what? It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to say we goofed up. Membership, come back, maybe. And if you really want to put goodwill in, instead of $249 or $189, we realized we goofed up. One year special offer $159 for you guys that we accidentally goofed up. And next year it'll go back up, but this year we want to make it up to you because you've already sold out. You can produce how many cards as you want. This is not like you're not limited to say there's only going to be 1,000 members. No. You're going to generate a lot of money. And the other side benefit is somebody like Brody, who would want those cards, can get back in cheaper for at least a year. And the bots who thought they were going to make all that money, all of a sudden, there's more of a supply, and they're not going to make all that extra money. Yep. It's actually a win in some ways to compensate for how you messed up. I mean, that would be one solution. Good luck getting that done. But I mean, that would be my first solution. Make it up to the people you goofed up.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, call back in, bud. I was about to add you in. As soon as I said it, he called right back in. So we'll add Chris Harris here to the stream. Welcome. Like the shirt, bud. Nice. What's going on?
Pay-per-view tonight, so got to get ready for that.
But by the way, before we begin, we all, in case the listenership doesn't know, we all need to share our condolences with Chris on the loss of his father.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich.
Absolutely, Chris. So what's going on, bud?
I just wanted to chime in about this issue of customer service. And I want to come at this at the perspective, not as a collector, but as part of my day job. And I think some people who follow me on Twitter might know this, but I work for the federal government as an economist in antitrust enforcement. So I'm going to come from that perspective. And I guess if anybody from my job is listening, this is me only and not the opinion of the Federal Trade Commission. But if you study a lot of companies that have or are given monopoly power, there's one thing that you notice about how they operate. They have no incentive to provide customer service.
Right.
They have no incentive to give consumers what they want. They can impose upon them what they think they want, which is why Topps keeps making the same products over and over again. Topps UK. And it's the same reason why, Topps just doesn't need to give a damn about customer service. Who cares? Who are you going to buy cards from?
Chris, the only thing I'm going to disagree with you slightly on that, when you say do the same thing over and over, Topps used to come down when I was at Beckett, and we used to meet with them frequently. And one of the things they always stressed was brand continuity. If that's what you mean, there's a reason they're not doing new brands. There's a reason.
Well, that's not necessarily what I meant by that.
Okay, so,
I meant
I'm sorry,
literally making the same cards
in other words,
over and over again.
You mean Topps basic, let's call it Topps flagship with, let's say, 15 different parallel sets. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, such as the release of Topps UK this week,
which
is literally the same exact card set, but with a flag on it.
Right. In other words,
they want you to pay $80 for a box of it.
Topps flagship, Topps all-star set.
Chrome.
Yeah, you're right with opening day. I mean,
Sapphire Chrome.
Sapphire Chrome, yes.
Yeah. I
But again, Brody, all these complaints about.
Let Brody speak.
I mean, I get with Chrome and stuff because obviously it's the better technology, but opening day, I it's a product towards kids, which I love, but I think they might need to try to rethink it a little bit because I just think they're putting a stamp on there and the cards are devalued from getting that stamp. It just seems kind of wow.
Brody, I will tell you, I love opening day when I was doing box reviews. It was actually some of the best value I got out of a box. It was like a $30 box. I was actually getting my money's worth out of those boxes. It's one of the rare boxes I was actually getting what I should be getting on a regular basis. And every once in a while, I even get a hit. So I'm a big fan of opening day as a concept because of the price point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
They ought to rebrand Big League as opening day.
Yes.
So that's just my opinion.
I would agree with you there.
But getting back,
I'll agree with you on that. I think we are personally in agreement on that.
Yeah.
But getting back to my original point, the problem here is exclusive licensing. Mm-hmm. If you grant a company an exclusivity for a product, you're giving them a monopoly, and you're basically, and when you have a company that has monopoly power over something, you don't really have a reason to service your customer.
Yeah, it's a disincentive to do that. I work in my company, we're in a very competitive industry, and we're always trying to find ways to differentiate ourselves from our competition. Constantly trying to do that. So if you don't have any competition, I think you're less motivated to differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out. If we had no competition, we could just wait for the customers to come. We wouldn't have to try to win them over and woo them and impress them and give them better value.
Absolutely. And then you look at the secondary market. I mean, I know Topps and Panini. I talk to their employees. They all look at the secondary market. They know what stuff goes for, and they know what Panini baseball cards go for. So they know there's no competition there. They know that the unlicensed stuff just is not going to touch it. And so you've seen, I completely agree with you there, Chris. Ever since exclusives have happened, which was kind of right when I got back into the hobby, seriously, there were none. And then it seemed 2 years after I was in, they all had them. And, I don't think they're going away. at least for any time in the
at least for another 5 to 10 years. Baseball.
Yeah, 5-10 years at the earliest.
But I will point out the other argument to that. We may not like exclusive as customers, but the licensors love exclusives.
Yes.
Oh, sure. That's why they do it.
I tell the story. The guy who was best man at my wedding had an NFL license for producing photos. He was one of 300 NFL licensees when he had the license for a couple of years. A couple of years later, they said, "We'd prefer you not have your license. We love you. You pay your bills on time, every time. We have no trouble. But we're reducing our 300 licensees to 30. And he's not going to make that cut. He's not the biggest photo guy. He's not going to make that cut. For the licensees, exclusives are wonderful because then you're only dealing with one entity instead of 2 or 3 or 4. I mean,
and that single entity is willing to pay a premium for that exclusivity too.
Absolutely.
This is also about money.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure Major League Baseball would much rather have one licensee willing to pay, I don't know how much Topps pays for the license,
but
$10 million a year, and that's 2 licensees paying $3 million a year.
Is happy to have Panini, because now they're getting 2.
Well, I had the MLB director of the Players Association on my show about like 6-8 months back, and we talked about that. And Rich, that's exactly what he said. He's like, that's exactly why we like being able to go to them. And I asked him about how Major League Baseball feels, and he said the same thing. They love the agreement with Topps. They love dealing with one company. They're happy with exactly how everything is, and that's a sport. Talking about baseball, I mean, they're pretty much going into the they're pretty much going into the memorabilia business for themselves. If you go to a baseball game when you can go to another one, I just remember when we were at the National last year, we went to an Indians game and we sat right next to the guy that was in charge of putting that holograph sticker on, proving that it was game used. If someone touched anything, they ran it over to that man so fast, he probably had 3,000, 4,000 stickers in the 6 innings I sat there to watch that. And it's just, Major League Baseball is pumping that out themselves, getting that stuff done. But they love the exclusives.
Major League Baseball could have a major problem. We've got a contentious labor agreement coming up. We don't know the status of the virus and how many fans we're going to have. They've got some issues. They've got some real issues in Major League Baseball coming. They got a truncated season done, but we're not exactly in great position right now for next year. We're not in bad position, but we're not in great position even for the start.
There's no guarantee that there's going to be a World Series next year. There could be another strike. So.
Can I just say one thing about all this, guys?
Sure.
I think in the hobby in general, we often aim our angst at the card companies, and fair enough for the most part. But we're often not, we don't realize, or we just we're not also kind of taking aim at the licensors, at the leagues, and because they're really the ones that are causing this. It's Topps, Upper Deck, Panini. Sure, they get a lot of our negative energy, but they're just playing in the environment that they are forced to play in. It's not up to them for the leagues to say. It's not up to them to, in terms of how the leagues approach it. The leagues want one licensee. We know that now, but it's the leagues that are lazy. It's the leagues that don't want to hire a licensing staff. It's the leagues that don't want to add to their legal department because that's what this requires. So it's the leagues that are forcing the card companies into this environment, and then we as the hobby, we take out our frustration on the card company. We should really be aiming it at least evenly at the leagues. That's all I want.
To throw out something for our hockey guy, one thing Upper Deck has done really well, which they have an exclusive right now doing hockey, but one thing Upper Deck's done really well this year too is their RAK program, Random Acts of Kindness.
Yes.
Could you imagine if Topps, and I'm going to exclude Panini because Panini's a little bit different on this, but could you imagine if Topps started doing more of that publicly to, again, build up some reservoir of goodwill?
Upper Deck is blessed to have Chris Carlin. Upper Deck has Chris Carlin, and Chris Carlin is the driver behind the Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness program, and but hey, if it works, emulate it, right? Yeah,
right.
Why not?
And the reason I put Panini on a different level they've always supported my card show, but granted, I have, I have, let's call it an advantage that I know a bunch of people at Panini, and they help me for the, the charity card show I do for my synagogue. But I'm not the only one they help. They are very good they are probably the best company for legitimate charity people. So that's why right now it sounds like Topps needs to do some more of that publicly. Some of the RAK stuff, some of the helping people publicly, some of the charity stuff. I think that might help, with some of this as well. I know that we're talking
about their public image, right? Rich, you're talking about their public image. They need to spend more time on their public image, but I say they need to, but do they really? Are people still buying their product?
Right now, but what happened? But, the economy may change. The market may change. We're in a booming card market. Right now, you don't need help.
Yeah.
There's an old saying, you do when things are good. You do more when things are bad. Well, if you start doing things when things are good, then you can really do more when things are bad to keep getting the interest going. I mean, in the 90s, after the crash and after the strike, there would be spring training games where Topps would have players handing out cards at spring training games. They were doing a lot to try to get everybody back. Well, as I always say, it's a lot easier to keep people than to try to get them back. Yeah, so the more you do up front, the less, you'll lose less along the way.
And I mean, you mentioned emulating before. Topps is a company that literally will sit back and watch and see what they sit back. They're never, really in the forefront. Project 2020 was one of the first things I saw Topps do that I was like, oh, wow, that's really inventive. Normally it's something that Panini or Upper Deck has done that they put their own little twist on. So, I mean, they have no problem emulating stuff. I hope they start to, I'd like to see them emulate the Random Acts of Kindness. Like you said, Chris Carlin heads that up. He's actually coming on Let Me Get That Potograph soon. And he's a wonderful guy to have in place, and someone that goes back to that customer service talk. He's someone that truly cares. I mean, if this had happened over there, oh my gosh, Chris would sit there all day and take every call if he had to. I mean, he'll do whatever it takes, and that's really where you see a really big difference. And I'm going to be interested to see what they do with this, because I don't know how much prep they do in advance for all this. I don't know, if there is really any reason to have a permanent cap on the Montgomery Club, and I have no clue what it is. But I mean, there sure was a lot of Sapphire last year, so it's got to be pretty high. But I don't know if they're just going to jack it up, cut everybody's allocation from 2 to 1. Who knows what they do? But then, is it worth the money? I mean, it's just a complete and utter mess.
And here's the other thing. The other thing Montgomery Club really helped, and here's one for Brody. I went to Walmart the other day. Yeah. I needed to get price stickers. I had cards I wanted to price, and I put price stickers on. I go to the card area, and this was my rent paycheck, so I don't have a lot of money. The only thing I saw in Walmart were Topps Gallery blaster boxes. I did buy one because it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
that's all they had in the card section, in the sports cards. Oh, and I think they had one of the Panini football, we'll call it Score. They had a couple of those boxes, but in baseball, all they had was Gallery. Yeah. Montgomery Club also gives you a way to guarantee you get product in to open, and that's another benefit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was the one time a year this year that I knew that I was going to be able to get a couple of boxes at the actual price, that I wasn't going to have to fight for it. There was never a problem where they were sold out. You always got your allocation. Like, it was
same
easy.
With Top Fire, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
You knew that you would be able to get it. And it just stinks, man. I remember, a year ago where you'd walk into Target and, you'd look at the card section. They'd have a bunch of stuff, but it would just all be the same stuff. Nothing new's come out. But they'd still have Prism and Optic, but you wouldn't pick any up because you already bought a lot and it's been out for a while. Nowadays, If you saw Prism or Optic, you would buy it up, no matter if it was 7 months old. Like, it's different times for sure.
The older, the better, really. Absolutely.
All right, I got to run. So
sure, absolutely, Chris. Thanks for calling in, man.
I'll be here next week. So
yes.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good one, bud.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris, for calling in.
Yeah, this is a great topic, though.
Yeah.
And especially somebody like Jeremy in retail, for his perspective, and Brody for his perspective as just an average kid trying to collect.
Yep.
Drew, you have a 5. Is he 6 yet?
He'll be 6 in March, but 5. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what was cool about him and those Montgomery Club like throwaway sets and stuff that would come. Oh yeah, it was a blast with them.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're different.
Because aren't the cards like sparkly or something where they look even more attractive than the base cards?
Well, they're like,
or that's Sapphire.
Designs.
That's
like
Sapphire, yeah.
Different. They do like 20 card sets and you get like a bonus auto. Like some of them are like thrown away designs that they never used or old school stuff. Like a lot of them, you get a 20 card set and there'd be a random auto, and it was just fun because you never really knew who was in the checklist. You had no idea who the auto would be. Like the one I got a Max Muncy in one of them. The one I got a Garrett Cole auto, which was pretty awesome. Like it was just random too. I didn't know that you had a chance playing Garrett Cole auto. Like it was a lot of fun to get those little things that took 3 minutes to open, but were really fun.
Guys, I've been in the hobby my whole life. I'm very active and involved in the hobby. Until yesterday, I'd never even heard of the Montgomery Club. I didn't know what it was. I still, I get it. It's just it's a basically a program you sign up for and you get some whatever, you get some perks. But we talk about lack of customer service. What about marketing? How come a guy like me who is, my life is the hobby, and I haven't even heard. Now, understandably, I'm in Canada. I'm a hockey guy predominantly, but still, how have I not even heard of this thing?
Well, see, that's a problem. I mean, to me, when you told me that before we went on the air, I was shocked. And that's, and I mean, if you can't get everybody to know what it is, I mean, by now, then you need to seriously work on that. And I hope somebody at Top sees this. I hope somebody tags them later.
Think about the cards Tops puts into a pack. Sometimes they'll have top of the class or something. How hard would it be to make a Montgomery Club insert? The publicity card from a Montgomery Club and put that into a pack if you really want people to get into it.
Put it with the coupons in the Series 1 blasters, anything to give people that info.
I mean, that's simple. That's simple publicity. That's not even complicated publicity.
Yeah.
I mean, last week I learned about bots more than I ever wanted to know. Because again, that doesn't impact what I do. Look at these boxes around me.
Right.
My synagogue show will be my synagogue show. Our synagogue show is our synagogue show. We give cards, we get cards, we give prizes, we get prizes. It doesn't matter. People, like the whole atmosphere when we can have the show. That's
Rich,
all good.
Rich, those boxes look very stressful and overwhelming.
They do.
I'm used to it, but if you're not used to it, it's very claustrophobic. I will tell you this. For me, it's like, I sit here every day, so I sit on my screens and do my ComC work.
It looks fun too. It'd be fun to walk in and get to look through all that. But boy,
if
I had to price or organize for a card show, oh my gosh!
Well, I don't have to organize for a card show. We put them in bags. In fact, I prefer that they're not organized.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes really random. But my point is, Montgomery Club, bots, a lot. John Newman asked me a couple of weeks ago what I thought of fractional ownership, and we can talk about that group in there. None of those things, as pointed out, affects my life at all.
Right.
And there's a lot of hobbyists like me unaffected by this the subjects we discuss. Right. Customer service affects everybody. And that's why that's a good topic for us to talk about. And that's why this is a good lead for that subject.
All this chat about I was going to say all this chat about the Montgomery Club and the lack of their ability to execute, the lack of their ability to market it, or the lack of their history of marketing it. What's the really? And this is a question for Drew and Brody. What is the real purpose of it? Why is it why do they need to have an exclusive category of customers?
Well, when it first came out, it was just. From my understanding, it was just your chance. I mean, like I said, year one, there was no exclusives on Sapphire and Ginterex and all this. It was just
exclusive sets and stuff like that.
You got a couple exclusive sets.
Well, and I think the thing with this all now is sets. Here's the sets that I got from Montgomery Club because I was able to purchase it before it went out to the public. Chrome Sapphire, Ben Baller, Finest Flashbacks, Alan Ginter Black. I probably won't get any of those next year as soon if they don't, fix anything, which I think there is a good chance they do fix something. I think Topps will try to figure it out, but if they don't fix anything, that's probably 4 products I'm not getting next year.
Yeah, I think you're right, Brody. They will try and fix it. They have to try and fix it. I completely agree with that. But if I'm a collector, which I am, and I want to join the Montgomery Club, so I have access to these products, and for whatever reason I'm shut out, I'm going to be very upset with Topps that I don't have access to these products, and I'm going to think that I'm not worthy of their products, and I'm probably going to boycott them altogether. I'm just going to say, you know what, to heck with it. I don't need any of their stuff. If I can't get the good stuff because I wasn't at my computer on Friday morning to beat the bots, I'm like, forget it. I'll
no, that's
what other options do I have in an exclusive world, right?
That's where I'm at. Yeah. I'm probably not signing up. I mean, I don't know if they offer us some crazy discounted membership or something. Yeah, then maybe that can change my mind if there's something made up for it. But no, if they throw out another raise in the price and expect me to just jump right in after all that frustration, no thanks. It's not like it was that much money. It was just like Brody said, it was a couple boxes that it was really cool to know you could get a couple of these fun boxes a year, and if you wanted to open them, you could even open them. And like 1977 Claw said, it was sold out before some of them even got the email. So who knows when I got the email how long it had been up. But like I said, I was there within 1 minute and it was gone. But
on my personal level, there's 2 boxes of Topps I care about each year. Topps One, Topps Heritage, and then I'll play with a few other things. But if all of a sudden Topps Heritage went to Montgomery Club and became a Montgomery, and I don't think it would, but let's say it became a Montgomery Club exclusive, then I have a really difficult decision to make.
Right.
I'm really surprised we've got. Sorry, I'm really surprised. Ziggy has said he never heard of it until yesterday on Hobby Hotline. TTM Cast, been in the hobby for 45 years. Never heard of it. And I'm guessing he's not in Canada like myself. He's probably a baseball guy. How is someone like that never heard of this thing?
Anyway, I'm kind of shocked at that.
It just seems like
tuned into the hobby to know about this stuff. And your local card store is not going to tell you about it.
Right.
No.
And you may not read, you may not read the hobby message boards.
Yeah.
You may not follow somebody on Twitter or on Facebook. You may not even be on that stuff.
Right.
I point out, this guarantees that I'm off for 2 hours a day, the grid. And I do that deliberately so I get some breaks in life. It helps keep me mentally sane not to have a smartphone, which drives everybody else to my family crazy. But I need to stay on top of what's going on in the hobby. Brody, you want to say something?
Well, and the main reason that this is such a thing that people are upset about is that Topps, one of the things that you get was guaranteed to renew membership if you wanted it.
Yes.
And
they repeated that throughout the year.
Right. And people that weren't in it last year got it instead of the people that were. And that's why it's such a big deal, and that's why it's going crazy, is because that you were guaranteed to be able to renew, no matter if they run out. That they would have to make more or something, because they said guaranteed to renew.
Yeah, this is a very frustrating conversation to have. Is there anything else on the?
I was about to say I did not mean to stick on it that long, but Chris called in and just kept this going. But
sorry, and I kept it going too.
Rich, you actually had a comment about something else I wanted to touch on today, and that was the new partial ownership company that just emerged. Rich, do you know, is that alt? Because I was unaware and I was trying to find it this morning. Is that alt? Is that the one that you're specifying?
Yes, that's the one I'm referring to.
Okay. All right. I'm not too familiar with them, but it reminds me of a comment Brian Gray made on this show a couple of weeks ago. He said the next year is either going to be remembered for when fractional ownership stuff takes off or when it completely disappears. And now we've got our third in the mix. I saw Rally yesterday, just had a massive deal with a huge offer on a Pokemon box that their shareholders decided not to take they voted against it, which I was blown away. I think that was the first time in Rally that anyone had ever done that whatsoever. But Rich, what do you think about yet another new partial ownership company jumping into the mix?
Well, it's a free country. It's a capitalist system. Everybody's entitled to try. This is not a monopoly. And I know Dr. Jim has talked frequently about this and about how these people are very well regulated, or should be very well regulated. You know, they have to file filings that none of us really have to file. I mean, I have to send money to. Okay, I'm talking about in terms of cards. I have to send money to the. I send money to the state for sales tax. Mm-hmm. You know, 98% of my sales are probably legitimately wholesale, but there are a few retail, so I send them some money every quarter. Of course, I had no sales the second quarter of the year. There were no card shows. You know, that was a great big. Where's the money? Well, I had nothing. I sold.
Right.
But it's a freak. As long as they're all following the rules, let the market shake out how the market shakes out.
I don't necessarily agree with what Brian Gray said, Drew, in that it'll either be the year that fractional ownership takes off or the year that it goes away. I think it's going to be a transitional year. It's brand new. Yeah. I don't think it's going to go away and disappear. It's here to stay. It's too good of an idea. It's too appealing to so many people, not people watching this show. It's maybe not appealing to the core collector. No. But it's certainly appealing to the investor who wants to get into sports cards, but maybe doesn't want to get in and deal with eBay and auction houses and all that sort of thing. It can appeal to those sorts of people. But I think it's going to be a year of discovery and a year of information, and people are going to really start to learn about it. And also it's going to be a year of them gaining the trust of the public. And it's, you know, they want to appeal to the collector, to me and to the guys on the screen right now. But I think it's going to take a while for it to catch on the way these guys hope it will. I think it will eventually catch on. Definitely don't think it's going away or disappearing. And this new one, Alt, I don't even think they've launched yet, but the guys, the principals of this company are showing the cards that they're buying on Instagram all the time. And they're buying the cards that we're hearing about. They're buying the Logo Man, the Giannis Logo Man, the LeBron RPA that went for 1.8. They're buying more Mike Trout. And these guys are showing them on Instagram saying, hey, look what's being added to the alt fund. We don't know how to buy into the alt fund yet, but eventually we will, probably soon enough, maybe in the new year. But I think it's definitely here to stay. I think it's interesting. Unfortunately, where I live, I am not even eligible to invest, but I don't have a social security number in the United States. So
that's the point. But that's the point. They are regulated. You do need to have that. And that's something where at least, you know, everybody always talks about how this is an unregulated hobby. Mm-hmm. This at least is going to be a division of it is regulated.
Yep.
And there's a positive to that, you know, where this is regulated. And if they screw up and take your money, you're going to have real recourse. You're not going, you know, and if you're fractional ownership, John Newman talks about, I've put $100 into each of these companies. Same. And you've done the same.
Yeah.
You know, if you lose the $100, you lose the $100. If you buy a bad box from Topps or Panini or Upper Deck, you've lost the same $100. Yeah. It's not really you know, in that sense, it's not really a big deal. I mean, I tell the story. I used to, you know, I've done box reviews. One year I got Allen and Ginter. I got 3 relics, 2 of which were Alex Avila cards. One a framed relic and one a regular relic. And the third one was somebody else, probably net value $5.
Right.
You know, the big difference, the big thing that people don't like about it in the hobby that the core collector doesn't like is that you don't get to touch and hold and feel it and own it and have it in your own house, right? You get this. It's just like a stock on a screen or an equity you hold. It's just an entry.
And I think that's why eTopps eventually failed.
Yeah,
because you weren't owning the cards really. You were you could get the cards. I have a very rare eTopps card, so I own a couple eTopps cards that came in the secondary market.
Yeah. I have every eTopps hockey card ever made. I have sitting right down there.
But not everybody did take physical possession.
Yeah, I did, and then I emptied out the portfolio, and that was the end of that. But boy, those were the good old days. That was 2001, 2002. Yeah. Oh boy.
But you didn't have physical possession of the cards, and I think
you could. But you could. That was just like ComC, right? Yeah, you can buy a card on ComC, but you have the option. That option is very important, and it's a huge distinction between ETOPS and ComC versus fractional ownership, which is you're never going to be able to touch, see, feel, hold that card unless you go to that company's facility. But you just own it. But I'm okay with that still as a collector. As a true collector, I'm willing to play in that arena. If I was eligible, I would definitely be investing in these things. Not a ton of money, but I would definitely do it because I'm never going to own a T206 Honus Wagner. But to be able to own a small portion of one, I have no problem with that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. And it's not like I'm taking money away from other cards. I would just do that in addition to everything else. But that's just me. A lot of people just don't see my kids are screaming. A lot of people just don't see the purpose of it.
Yeah.
I agree with you when you said that you don't really agree with Brian Gray. I think you're kind of right. Because I think that this was kind of when cards really got popular again. That's kind of how it was too. Will cards break and not be popular, or are they gonna boom and be huge things? And Steve Aoki's breaking them, and Jake Paul's breaking Pokemon. And I think that this is kind of the same thing. We'll see what happens, but I think it will be big because, like you said, I'm probably not going to ever own a Honus Wagner T206, but I could go own a fraction of it. I think it's definitely going to stay around for a while.
Yeah, and I think you were...
Drew, I just want to say, Drew, on the ticker, it says, is partial ownership the future? And I know, I get it, but I don't think.
Well, I meant in that area. No, not of the hobby. I'm talking. Does it have a future? Is there a future with it?
Right. Yeah, I get that. I'm just using that as a launching point to say, I think it's got a place within the sports card world. I don't even want to say within the hobby. It's got a space in the sports card world, and it's not going to appeal to a lot of collectors, but it's definitely in the future. It's too good of an idea not to last, even though a lot of people watching are like, it's a horrible idea. I can't hold the card. It's collecting. The big part about collecting is having a card in hand and being able to look at it and turn it around and look at it from different angles and all that, Well, it's not meant for that. It serves a different purpose. It serves a different market. And
like you said earlier, Jeremy, I think it really is. I mean, it's obvious. It is absolutely targeted towards the venture capitalists, the stockbrokers. They know who's coming in this industry. And I know of a couple of very, very, very wealthy people up north that are major movers that are diving head first into this stuff, that are way into it. And so I think, they're definitely picking a segment to go after. And some people like myself that I just like to try out these things. Like Rich said, it's a regulated part of the industry, which is beautiful for me. I've been dying for something for that for ages. So anything that's somewhat regulated, I love. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to stay. I like seeing a new company pop up. I don't want to see 500 of them because then, I just think it spreads a little too thin. But I also think, we'll probably see 20 or 30 pop up and probably 15 die as well.
I think that's a great comment, Drew. And I hadn't gone there yet in my own head, but I think you're exactly right. And just like in sports cards, back in the days when there wasn't exclusivities, you had 3 or 4 companies, a couple smaller ones that didn't really matter, but you had 3 or 4 main companies. And I think that's what's going to happen in this. That's why Brian Gray's comment is, I think it's a little bit, I think you got to go out a little bit further and say the next couple of years are going to be about separating the real players from the wannabes. And I think first to market, that's going to be first mover advantage is going to be huge here. So rallies ahead of the game, collectibles ahead of the game, although they haven't started yet, are definitely ahead of the game because they're just using media and marketing and promotion in terms of the cards they're getting. And they're really leveraging off of what Ken Golden's excellent marketing because they're buying cards from him. Yeah. So you're going to see, I think you're right though, Drew, you'll see other entrants into that particular space. But the best will survive. The cream will rise to the top, but that might be a couple years away until just like it took ComC a while to be accepted, for it to be acceptable to send your cards to someone else and they hold them for you and then them sell them, right? Even with PWCC's Vault, that wouldn't have flown 5 years ago, but now it's a great idea for people that play in that area. So just to wrap it up, for me, it's here to stay. The cream will rise to the top, and it's going to take a couple years to get there. And then, that assuming we're going to see other entrants try and break into the space.
And again, this is something where we may know about it, but not all people. The only advantage is this may get wider audience because of the sheer value of the cards involved.
Yeah.
Because those cards are the ones getting the publicity. And how do I get them? You get in this way. Yeah. But I bet you right now, I have a show next week, literally, as I always say, within walking distance of my office, which is true. I will load up on, load up can be as early as Thursday night. I will load my stuff in on Thursday night. But Friday, Saturday, I will park and walk to the show from my office. But I guarantee you that 85, 90% of the people that come into that show will not know thing one about fractional ownership. Right. I bet you 85, 90% of the people that come in will not know thing one about Montgomery Club.
Yep.
But I bet you 100% of the people that come in will want to buy cards, some for their collection, some to make money.
How many of those people, Rich, know about ComC?
Quite a bit because of where I am.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different.
Put that show anywhere else. Put that show anywhere else, Rich, and how many of them know about ComC?
Not enough people know. Which actually, considering that we fell behind and everything, probably wasn't the worst thing this year.
Yeah,
with how swamp we got.
For sure.
Next year, it looks like things will get back to a little bit to normal. We've caught up on most of our things. Not everything, but we've gotten a lot closer to being caught up on the backlog of the backlog of customer service. We've gotten better at dealing with it. We've hired a lot of people, and that's really helped.
Yeah.
But not enough. We obviously more outreach would be good too. And there's a great question. Why don't we have Brody take
I wanted to use this to wrap that up, as I see we're getting a little close to the end here. But Brody, Global Sports Card Investor asks, how's the best way to get his kiddos into sports cards and share his experiences with them?
Well, I think, you start off small. And I think this you gotta try to find opening day in big league, and that's what I always say. I think another thing you do is anything you got in the garage, you got all your old stuff in the garage, take them out, show them, this was Don Mattingly. He was a very good baseball player for the Yankees a long time ago, and see if they think it's cool. And I think it's harder now because when I got into it when I was 5, my dad was able to take me to Target and buy me a $2 pack, but that's hard now. Mm-hmm. I think the Future Stars Club might not be a bad idea either. Yeah. I know it's sold out now, but I don't know when they'll start doing memberships open again. Probably next year, I'm assuming, but that's $25 a month, and you get a blaster and you get a special set, and I think it's cool. I mean, I think you just got to try to figure out what they like and then go from there, I think.
Yeah, as someone also, if I can just add something, as someone who's currently in the process of getting my son more and more into sports cards at 5 when Brody got into it, really, it was kind of easy with my kid a little bit because he was instantly drawn to football and basketball on TV. So it was very easy to do that, and he's played all the sports now. But as soon as I bought him his first picture of himself from a sport on, the little card frame that they give you, and then you send it to them, he thought it was the coolest. And I kind of saw that area as an instance where he kind of was interested to see, oh, wait, no, okay, so that's why Cam Newton's on this card. I think anything you can do to kind of get their brain to just be thinking about it. Like Brody said, getting some of the cheaper products is definitely a good idea. Some of your older stuff, even some of the boxes from 2 years ago, not every product is super, super expensive. There's still a lot of boxes that you can find from years ago for cheap. I think you really just have to either dive right in and spend the extra money or, just sit there and just that quality time spending there looking
Yeah.
through cards. Like Jude just got curious of me sleeving up cards, wondering what I'm doing. And so I'd show him. He started, looking at them, got interested, and it kind of free fell from there. But I think anything you can do that kind of shows them that you're interested and that you really care about it, I think you're going to see that they're going to show that interest too. And then once you're there, I mean, it really is ultimately, up to if they want to do it or not.
Well, if you have an LCS too, if you don't, try
Yes.
to see if you can find one. I mean, even if you just take them and say, you got $5 in dollar pin, he might be there forever trying to find some of his favorite players and stuff, which I think is awesome. And also, tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time, watch my web show, Hobby Life Show, on YouTube.
Yes.
Please, I do a lot of stuff towards kids. That's my main goal, to get more kids into hobby. We're going to be talking a lot about racing. We have Tim Trout from Panini America on, who is the NASCAR brand manager. So we'll open a lot of NASCAR. We also do some baseball. And I know your kid will love it for sure. So definitely check that out. 6 p.m. Central or 7 Eastern, wherever.
Brody, have you ever interviewed or talked to Tim for a long time?
No, this was actually my
Tim
first
is
time.
Tim's awesome.
Tim is a hoot. He is funny.
Yeah, Tim's a great one, and I'll second that. That's a great. Sorry, Brody, I didn't even think about that, but yes, Brody's show, 100%. I know my kid loves YouTube. My kid actually watches Brody's show, so absolutely.
I'll try, if I'm home, I will watch just so I can give Trout some we'll say hobby love, and we'll leave it at that.
There you go.
Hobby love, grief disguised as hobby love.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Good job, Brody.
Yes,
Good job,
wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, it is about that time. Jeremy, I know Brody's got his show, but a little later, I believe someone else has one.
I'll plug my show too.
Yeah, plug away, man.
Drew, thanks, guys. Yeah, no, Sports Cards Live tonight. I was originally scheduled to have Scott Greenberg from Starstock on, but we had to reschedule. So tonight I've got Chris McGill from, one of the co-founders of Card Ladder and from House of Jordans joining me tonight. So we're just gonna shoot the poop and see what we can accomplish tonight. Here comes my little guy into the room. So
I hear you. Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got a new episode coming out this week as well. Some of the guys from Card Ladder on there as well. So it looks like they're making some media rounds this week. What's up, little bud?
Say hi, Mason. Say hi to the crowd.
And the second one, yay! Both
of them. There we go.
I'm going to mute my mic now.
Oh, you're good. It is about that time, so I guess we'll wrap up episode 40 of Hobby Hotline. Glad thank you to everyone yeah, I know, man. We're getting there quick. It does not feel like 40 episodes whatsoever, I can tell you that much. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks to all of our callers. Rich, thanks so much for joining the show today, my man.
I enjoyed it. It was nice to actually know the topic we were talking about this week.
Well, you had a wonderful tweet. If anyone hasn't seen it, go read Rich's tweet. If you missed the Montgomery Club discussion, he wrapped it up into a beautiful and very concise paragraph. But wonderful one yesterday. But for myself, Jeremy, Brody, and Rich, we will see you guys next week with an all-new lineup. Till then, see you.
See you later.
Good night, everybody. Good morning.
Good day.
Perfect.